Some parents don't just raise their children, they try to recreate themselves through them. It's not always intentional, and it's rarely malicious. Often, it's a quiet, unconscious process. The parent sees in the child not a separate being, but an unfinished version of their own story. And before anyone realizes it, the child stops being fully themselves, they become the continuation of someone else's dream, fear, or regret. Parental projection happens when parents transfer their own unmet desires, insecurities, or unresolved emotions onto their children. It's a way of saying, "You will live the life I couldn't," or sometimes, "You will avoid the mistakes I made." On the surface, it can look like love, guidance, or ambition. But underneath, it often hides the parent's inability to separate their identity from their child's. A parent who once dreamed of being a musician might push their child to practice piano until midnight. A parent who felt powerless growing up might insist their child become strong, dominant, and successful, not out of genuine interest, but to rewrite their own history. Sometimes, the parent's voice becomes the child's inner voice. "Don't disappoint me. Be better than I was. Make me proud." The problem is that pride and love get mixed together, and the child learns that affection has a condition. Children shaped by projection often grow up confused about who they really are. They might achieve everything their parents ever wanted: good grades, a respected career, a perfect image, and still feel empty. Because deep down, those achievements don't belong to them. They were inherited expectations, not chosen paths. It's like living someone else's dream with your own name attached to it. Some children sense this early. They notice how their parents light up when they act a certain way, and how that light fades when they don't. They learn to perform, to please, to be the version of themselves that earns approval. And slowly, authenticity turns into performance. Love becomes something they have to earn, not something they simply receive. This kind of upbringing often leads to a quiet identity crisis in adulthood. People begin to ask questions they can't easily answer. Who am I when I'm not trying to make someone proud? Do I actually want this life, or was it handed to me? It's painful, because realizing how much of your identity was shaped by another person means facing the emptiness that projection left behind. For parents, projection usually starts from a place of pain they haven't faced. Maybe they sacrificed their dreams for survival, and now they want their child to succeed where they couldn't. Maybe they were neglected and want their child to be perfect to prove they're worthy of love. Maybe they're afraid of repeating their parents' mistakes and overcorrect by trying to control every part of their child's path. It's rarely about control for its own sake, it's about rewriting a story that still hurts. But here's the difficult truth: no child can heal what their parent never faced. No matter how successful or obedient they become, they can't fill that old wound. And when a parent's love depends on the child's performance, both end up disconnected. The parent never truly sees the child for who they are, and the child never feels seen. Some people spend years untangling from this invisible inheritance. They start therapy, travel, switch careers, or simply take time to ask, "What do I want?" That question can feel both terrifying and liberating. For the first time, they're not answering to someone else's dream, they're searching for their own voice. It's not rebellion, it's reclamation. For parents, the most loving act isn't shaping their child into the best version of themselves, it's allowing the child to become someone entirely different. To step back and witness, not control. To guide, but not dictate. To understand that love means letting the child exist freely, even if that means walking away from the parent's vision of success. When parents live through their children, they unintentionally repeat the very pain they once experienced, the feeling of being unseen. Because in trying to fix their past, they recreate it. The cycle continues until someone notices and says, "This ends with me." Breaking that cycle doesn't mean blaming or hating parents. It means understanding that they, too, were once children shaped by expectations, projections, and fears of their own. Awareness is what transforms it. When a parent learns to look at their child and say, "You are not me," something sacred happens. The child finally becomes free to be real, and the parent finally gets to love without condition. Parental projection isn't always obvious. It can hide in praise, in ambition, in concern, even in silence. But beneath it is always the same question: are you loving your child, or your own reflection in them. When love becomes about the child's true self, not the parent's unfinished story, both finally get to live their own lives, not each other's.